Some days, the creative block is strong, so I turn to simple sketching exercises just to get moving again. The vital craft. Some days, the creative block is strong. I sit with blank paper, nothing comes, no motivation, no ideas, just resistance. When that happens, I start with very simple exercises, just to get the hand moving again. I begin with dot-to-dot lines, placing dots in a clock formation and connecting them. Vertical, horizontal, diagonal. Right now, for me, it's not about making art. It's about loosening the wrist and shoulder, training the arm to guide the pencil instead of the fingers only. I keep going, connecting more dots, drawing more lines between them. Vertical, horizontal, diagonal. I try different angles, different spacing. There's something calming about this repetition. It doesn't require inspiration. It doesn't demand a finished drawing. It just asks me to keep the pencil moving. This is how I'm learning to show up even when I don't feel creative. One dot, one line, one small connection at a time. No pressure to make it beautiful, just a quiet act of drawing that quietens the mind, relaxes the tension in the body, and creates a window or doorway of opportunity for me to start creating again. Next, I move to basic shapes. Triangles down half the page, squares down the other half. I draw them quickly, from right to left or left to right, training both sides of the brain and hand. I don't worry about perfection. These exercises build control and rhythm. They remind the hand how to repeat simple forms without overthinking. I continue drawing triangles down one half of the page, trying to keep the sides roughly equal, but not worrying if they're perfect or not. Then I switch to squares on the other half. I draw them fairly quickly, moving from right to left and then left to right, training both directions. These basic shapes might look too simple and not very impressive, but they serve a real purpose. Triangles help with angles and straight lines meeting at points. Squares train consistency in proportions and right angles. Repeating them builds muscle memory and confidence in my hand. Even though they're uneven and far from perfect, the repetition itself is valuable. It teaches me to keep going even when the result isn't beautiful. This is also a life metaphor. It reminds me that skill comes from doing the same thing many times, not from getting it right the first time. As I fill the page, I can feel my mind quieting down. The pressure to create something meaningful fades. I'm just drawing shapes, breathing, staying present with the pencil. This kind of practice is gentle. Then I practice C shapes facing both directions, drawing them over and over on the same curve. It's repetitive and meditative. This helps with curve control and consistency. Training the hand to move smoothly in both directions. I don't stop to fix any mistakes. I just keep the pencil moving. There's a quiet rhythm in repetition. It takes the pressure off making something beautiful and even perfect. It's just about showing up and practicing the shape. On days when bigger ideas feel far away, this kind of simple exercise keeps the creative connection alive. It reminds me that progress doesn't always look impressive. Sometimes it just looks like the same shape drawn many times until it starts to feel natural again. After the freehand exercises, I switch to something more structured. I draw evenly spaced horizontal lines with a ruler down the page. Then I try to draw circles that match the width of each line, row after row. I leave a bigger space at the bottom and draw a row of larger circles. Then I go back and fill in the small gaps with smaller or tinier circles where the bigger ones meet. This kind of guided practice is different from loose warm-up exercises. It forces me to slow down and pay attention to spacing and consistency. It's less about free expression and more about control and patience. Even though the result looks simple, the repetition trains steadiness in my hand. It reminds me that creativity isn't only about inspiration. Sometimes it's about showing up and doing the quiet, methodical work. Next, I draw quick basic shapes: cone, cylinder, pear, sphere, cube, and pyramid. I draw them as fast as possible. I add a line down the center and lines across each shape to suggest three-dimensional form. This exercise helps me practice quick observation and simple 3D construction. It trains the hand to move confidently and the eye to see basic forms, even when I'm not trying to make something polished. As I draw each shape, I can feel the difference between the earlier warm-ups and this stage. The warm-ups loosens the hand, but these shapes start to ask a bit more intention. Understanding volume and perspective without getting lost in perfection. Even though the shapes are rough and imperfect, the repetition builds confidence. It reminds me that I don't need to wait for inspiration to create. I can just pick up the pencil and practice seeing and drawing form. On days when bigger ideas feel far away, these simple shape exercises keep the creative muscle working. They're not meant to be finished drawings, they're just practice. And right now, practice itself feels like progress. Finally, I draw a real object nearby. In this case, my glasses, without lifting the pen from the paper, as quickly as possible. Artists often use continuous line drawing to improve the eye-hand coordination. and to stop overthinking. It forces you to stay present and keep the pencil moving. The result is usually imperfect, but that's the point. It's not about perfection, it's about flow. If you also struggle with creative blocks, try one of these simple exercises. Drop what helps you in the comments below. Subscribe if this honest journey resonates with you. Thank you for being here.